Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is the Kermaco hard surface and character design using ZBrush. And yeah, we'll be on here for the next couple hours working on the robot we've been working on. So, but before we get going, if somebody in the chat could let me know if you can see my screen, and also if you can hear me, that would be great. And also, I just want to let everybody know that please like and subscribe. At least like. If you don't want to subscribe, that's fine. But if you want, you should subscribe. I don't know why you wouldn't want to. There's a lot of great artists streaming on this channel, and both on Twitch and also on YouTube. So if you subscribe, you'll see me as well as many other super talented artists showing amazing stuff, in addition to a lot of cool Maxon team stuff as well. But at least like, that would really help. And you can always leave a comment if you have comments. And if you have questions, you can leave them as comments. If you have comments or questions during the stream, ask, and I will I'll be more than happy to just kind of go off on a tangent and answer any questions you might have. Okay, so with that, I see that a couple of people are saying that everything is fine. So let's go ahead and get going. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, so we're still working on the hand, and yeah, so we'll just kind of continue to do that. So here, again, this is really a very rough kind of version of it, but we'll kind of refine it as we go on. I just want to make sure looks like there's something underneath this. I don't know what it is. Oh, I've got a whole other hand underneath that. Is that oh yeah. Okay, yeah, this was, we ZBrushed, and I don't really want to do this ZBrushed version just yet. I'm just going to hide it for now, but the version I want to work on is what's underneath, which I believe is this one, right? I'm just going to turn off polyframe. And so what we're doing here is, let's just make sure I frame this. Is local off? It is not. Okay. And what I want to do here is just work on this in such a way where I am, I'm going to make this just a tiny bit bigger. 3 is where it's good. Okay. All right. And so what I want to do here is I'm just going to refine this as much as I can into the shape that I want it to be. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and retopologize it. Okay, so right off the bat, anybody have burning questions before I get going? I'll wait a couple of minutes. I think there is a little bit of a delay here, but it shouldn't be an issue. This thing, okay, it's masked. Why aren't things moving? All right, so. And the resolution on this, I mean, it's kind of dense, but it doesn't matter at this point. Again, I'm going to retopo, so it shouldn't matter. And here, I don't know if I like this kind of angle. I'm just going to do a clip curve. One more. Oops. Again, nothing really too precious at this point. It's just, looking for ideas for the hand. And I'd like to work a little bit on the hand today. And then after that, I'll move on to some other part as well. Because it's always a good idea to just keep moving around the model and not sticking to one specific area too long. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to maybe divide this somehow in half over here. The right brush. know if that's a good idea or not. Check something here real quick. Mouse average. Let's go to 10. Right. Okay, I need to do one more thing here. Right, I'm just trying to find some good angles here. All right, I think I'm just gonna get more towards some sort of a compelling shape here for this part, and yeah, so hang on. Got this weird thing with my headset where it just keeps cutting out the music every time I talk. So I need to probably set something up wrong. Yeah, so basically this thing right here is the Wacom pie menu. And there's good and bad about this. The good is that you can put 8 icons, and you can also shoot off another menu off of this. So like I could press something and then that would open up another pie menu, and I can choose stuff from it. It's pretty compelling. And the way I have it organized is like H-Polish, Damien Standard, and Move are the 3 that I use all the time. So I've set up hotkeys for them, and I've just mapped my hotkeys to these 3. And so I can just kind of switch between them real quick. And I've mapped this whole thing, this whole pie menu to my middle click button, which I use a 3D mouse or 3D stylus from Wacom, which I don't know if they make this anymore. I don't think they do, which is unfortunate. And the reason why I like it is because this 3D button over here is nice and big. So I just have my finger on it, and wherever I click, this menu pops up. And then once this menu pops up, I've got, again, like the 3 top brushes, and then each one of these are menus. And so these menus are custom menus that I made in ZBrush. You can see them up here. So if I click on 1, for example, it pops up this brush set. And if I click on 2, it pops up this brush set, 3, this one, 4, this one, and 5, this one. So yeah, that's kind of how I have, that's kind of the interface I use. I did watch Henry Chervenka's stream, and if you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. There's a lot of, he goes through some really cool tips and tricks in there, and he uses a couple of things that I'm looking into. One of them is this brush called like brush drawer or something like that, which is kind of an older thing, but it's really confusing, and I really the documentation and the videos are very cryptic. So I think I don't know if I'm going to use that one. And then there was another one called Hot Pie Menu, and I'm looking into that as well to see if there's anything in addition to what these guys do over here, or my user interface. Because in addition to, like, I would like to have, you know, certain things kind of happen automatically. And so, but I don't want to set a hotkey for every single thing. I don't want to set a hotkey for every single brush, because it just, aren't enough keys, and I don't want to infringe on any other like ZBrush commands. So I've found this to be kind of the best way to work at this time. But my UI that I have around here, as well as the way I work, is ever changing. So I'm always optimizing. I'm always figuring out how to be faster with what I want to do, instead of digging around and kind of not being very streamlined. I know a lot of users like to work with hotkeys, which is awesome. Personally, I like a combination of different ways of working. I hope that answers your questions, KDA. Yeah. All right. But yeah, you know, if you have a Wacom tablet, whether it's a Cintiq or a tablet, this comes with it, and I find it to be super, super useful. I'm going to make this thing here a little bit smaller. Can I do it? I can't do it here, can I? Nope. Yeah, I'm just going to go to the cam view and reduce the size to, let's see, 150. Yeah, that's better, so I don't keep hitting it by accident. And here I'm not really worried about like, you know, how clean the surface is or anything like that, because all this is going to get retopoed after. I'm just getting the shapes, kind of interesting shapes in play. What I'm doing here is just using masking, but this is a, you know, this is a slight modification on the mask brush, or the masking, the mask pen brush. And in this one, I've kind of set the sensitivity to 0, the tablet stylus sensitivity to 0, so I get harsher edges, and it's easy enough to do. But the default one kind of creates a nice, you know, soft transition, and which is useful in certain cases. But for what I'm doing, I need harsher transitions. So I'm just kind of, I made this as its own brush, and it's one that I have put in my masking brushes. So you notice here that one of these menus is masking brushes. So all the mask brushes are here, plus all kind of other masking functions are all in here as well. And I can pop this menu anywhere and you know, choose whatever I want. The only thing I wish I could do is have it stay instead of going away as soon as I touch the canvas, but you know, I can't have everything. You know, you don't really need this pen. You can map that button, KDA. You can map that to any. You can map it to the right or left buttons as well. So you don't really need the. You can even map it to the eraser. I think that's what they did with this pen, is they took the eraser that's in the back, which I don't know anybody who uses that, and they moved it down here so it's got 3 buttons, which makes more sense. And their new stylus, if you have the new Cintiq stylus, it actually has 3 buttons on it. So here it is, wiping the dust off of it. I don't use this one as much, but I'll get it closer here. But you can see this one, this newer one has 3 buttons. The only reason why I don't end up using this one is because the button is a bit smaller. So I tend to use the 3D mouse, which I kind of like. It's a little bit thicker, and I've kind of developed muscle memory on it. And I think these things last for a long time, so I think I'm good for a while. And I think I do have a reserve. I think when I mentioned this to Wacom that they should continue it, they said, sorry, we're not going to, because we have the new pen. But because I mentioned it to them, they gave me an extra one. So thank you, fine folks at Wacom. And if you have a Cintiq, your pen should be fine. You can map it to whatever. And the way you do it, by the way, KDA, is it's really easy. It's just, let me see if I can find the Wacom app here. Here it is. Let me bring it to the screen. Basically, it's just, you go into the radial menus. So here, right over to the left, there's radial menus. So I think it comes with the this one, which is kind of the express menu. And then, you can make your own or whatever. And this is the one I have. So it's just, basically this. And notice that as I move on it, I can change the color. So if I want this to be orange, for example, it's just as easy to do that. Or light blue, dark blue, whatever. And then to map it, you basically, over here on the right, so this one, for example, it's key 4. This one is key 3. This one is key 2. And then this one is control 1, control 2, control 3, control 4, control 5. That's all that it is. It's really easy to set up. And then the menus that you do in ZBrush are, you can watch. I think Pablo has a really good customizing the ZBrush UI video. You can watch that. There's quite a few of them out there. So you can just customize your UI and also create your own menus. And I recommend everybody does that, because don't use somebody else's menu. If somebody says use my menu, immediately know that they are kind of, trying to get you to work like they do. And I haven't seen too many really good ZBrush artists that work the same way. As a matter of fact, when I'm teaching, when students come to me with a menu that their previous teacher has given them, I tell them, I discourage them from using that, because you don't want to be forced to work the way somebody else wants you to work. You should be working the way you want to work. All right. Okay, so now I just mask these, and I'm just going to do one across here so that they're all the same length. All right, and I'm just going to hit Control W, which basically will polygroup these. And I guess I could do this. I can polish them here. Do I have this? My UI is bigger because I usually work in 2K, but when I stream, I have to be at 1080p. So some of the things are over here, but that's fine. I can just always use them through the menu. And I could stream in 4K. The problem is that it becomes blurry and the text becomes illegible. So I'd rather just do it this way. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say polish by features, and what that will do is basically just polish around these. And I'm also going to polish by groups, just to kind of get a little bit nicer transitions between those. And then what I'm also going to do is just mask this, just isolate this, mask it, go back, switch that mask. And what I'm going to do with these is just pop my gizmo on there and just pull them up, do this kind of thing. Okay, and then I'm just going to redynamesh. And again, this is probably going to look pretty janky, but I don't care, because again, I'm just going for just a concept of what I want this to look like. And I'm already realizing that that's not the direction I want it to go in. I want it to go in this direction maybe. Or how about just pulling them all down. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, and I'll just pop something in there later, some other part. And then also these edges are looking pretty sharp here. I think I'm going to make them less so. Let's turn Arc Curve on. So funny. I don't like to get into arguments with people on social media, but every once in a while, like, I just feel like there's so many people that don't really know anything that are posting very authoritarian opinions and just Dunning-Krugering the whole thing. And I just feel like I need to chime in. And I always hate myself afterwards because I'm like, why am I arguing with these people? I don't even know who they are or what their credentials are or whatever. But what I worry about is that, like, other folks will read the stuff and then think, oh yeah, that's how it is. I remember when I was a kid, you know, people used to say, if it's not in a book, if there's no book, you know, if it's not written down in a book, then, you know, always look at it with a grain of salt. And that whole thing's kind of gone out the window. Because, you know, I mean, you know, to publish a book, it costs a lot of money. And, you know, it goes through editorial processes and whatever. And right nowadays, it's just like, you know, you just go online and any bozo can go to any forum and type anything they want. And they have the same amount of weight as somebody who's like a PhD on the topic. And I don't know if there's a way to fix that on the internet. I hope there will be, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about all sorts of topics. Being a scientist with my education, you know, I understand the scientific process, but, you know, most people really don't. Yeah, I wish there was a way to weight comments on the internet, like, you know, like have a weight to the comments. But the problem is that wouldn't really help social media companies. Like, social media companies, all they need is conflict. All they need is traffic. All they need is people basically going and commenting and doing the stuff so they can sell them some Tide or detergent or a car or whatever. All right. I'm doing my best not to get into too much detail here on this hand. I want it to be as loose as possible. I'm already discovering that I don't really like these indentations that I made, but it's easy enough to fix. I think there's a brush that will do it. So here I'll go to my smooth and polish brushes, and was it trim dynamic, trim normal, planar, trim normal, planar cut. I think it's planar cut. Nope. No. I should have saved a morph target. But here's a nifty trick. What you could do is you can just go back to before I did that work. I think even before then. Like, I'll go all the way to here and I'll store a history point and come back to where I was. And go back a few. And then I'll just use the history brush. I think it's here, history, yep. And just do that like it never happened. There we go. before I forget, let me free up this spot. All right, quiet people, say something. Anybody, come up with a topic. I think one of the problems with this is it's kind of concave and I want it to be convex. So I'm going to turn AccuCurve off and bring this out a bit. There we go. You know, it's funny, this hand could just be its own stream, like its own kind of topic. But, and I've always wanted to do one of these, so this is a perfect opportunity. I think a lot of people are at Comic-Con this week. A lot of my colleagues, a lot of friends are there. I haven't been for a while. I don't know what it's like. I don't know if it's gotten any better or worse. The thing is, there's always, you know, publishers and people that I follow at these things, so that's why I usually go. But it's become such a zoo that unless I've got like really good accommodations, I don't really want to. Let's see. You're new to ZBrush, it's overwhelming. Well, you know, I tend to agree with you. When you first start out, it could seem really overwhelming, especially if you see something like my menu with all these buttons and everything around. You know, I could totally see how it could be overwhelming. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be, right? You can start with something really simple. And as time goes on, you start kind of learning new stuff. And I mean, I've been using it since 2005. So, you know, I remember when I first started using it and my teachers were doing amazing stuff with it. I felt so intimidated. And, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, I want to do this, but, you know, it takes time to learn all the things. And not only that, but also you have to know that it's not just knowing ZBrush. There's also a lot of other things you need to know, fundamentals that are important as well. But yeah, I mean, if you just go to this Maxon channel that you're watching this on YouTube and watch a whole bunch of different artists, you'll see that nobody uses it the same way. And some people, you know, only use 2 or 3 brushes. Very few people do hard surface, but the number is growing, which is a good thing. And you'll notice that there's different ways to work, and people have found different ways to do the things they want to do. So don't get discouraged. Just you know, find your groove. And also in the notes of this stream, I've put in some training resources that you guys could use. If you're starting new, there's Z Classrooms, there is Cineversity. There's a lot of stuff out there, in addition to like all the stuff on YouTube. And the only thing I kind of caution you is make sure that who you're learning from knows what they're talking about. Because there's a lot of people just, you know, you know, I mean, it's just YouTube. Again, no weight to anything. It's just, you know, whoever wants to make a video can make one. So, it's just like the comments. So if you know, Gnomon Workshop has really great videos. I have 2 on there. As a matter of fact, this would be a good time to talk about that. So the Gnomon Workshop is just a site that has a whole bunch of really great videos. And I've got two here. One is designing a piloted combat mech. And this one's really good because it kind of goes through my entire process, everything from getting reference to doing quick concepts in VR to getting into ZBrush, Painter, rendering it, retouching it in Photoshop. The whole 9 yards are in this video. And then I've got another one on 3D scan and retopology for production. So that's like taking people and 3D scanning them and creating digital doubles with them. But this is just a very small section. I mean, there's a lot of amazing instructors on here, just people that are legends in visual effects and so if you want to find me, just go to browse, go by instructor, and then go to the IL, and there's me. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing people on here, and there's a lot of great videos. And the one that I recommend if you want to learn ZBrush is Maddie Spencer's. So you'll find her. She's got a really good ZBrush introduction. And where are you, Maddie? Is it by last name? It is by last name, Spencer. So it's over here. Yeah, this one right here. Right, so if you go to her stuff, she's got this video right here, Introduction to ZBrush 2024, and this is a really, really good one to learn ZBrush from. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to learn, there's a lot of different places, but more than anything else, I recommend that you know, at least have some sort of project that you're working on that you you know, can kind of start with. Well, I mean, the Maxon one is a really good one, right? So the Maxon ZBrush channel is a really good one. Pablo Munoz Gomez has a really good one, or Pablender. I don't know what he goes by. It was ZBrush Workshops for a while. I think now it's the Extra Mile. I don't remember, you know, I don't know exactly what his branding is, but look up Pablo Munoz Gomez. He's really good. And Mike Pavlovich is really good as well. And both of those guys stream here, so you can watch their streams. And they don't stream as much as they used to. They used to stream a lot more, but they do. I mean, Mike Pav, I think, just did one, and Pablo has some great stuff on his channel. So I would recommend doing that. I kind of feel like I'm just stuck in this one area. And what I want to do is just cut this off and separate it out. So I think those would be a good start for you. But again, don't get too intimidated because, I mean, there is a lot, but you don't really need all of it. You know what I mean? You just can grow into it over time. But it is going to take time, and it is a commitment. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest arguments I have with people online, is because they go like, well, I'm not going to spend all this time learning ZBrush when I can just type a prompt and get exactly what I want. And I'm like, you're not getting exactly what you want, A. And then B, you know, it's, here, I'm going to turn the line off on this. You're not really getting what you want, A. And then B, oh man. And then also, you know, I mean, there's nothing separating you from anybody else that can do that, right? So if you go work somewhere, you know, if you type a prompt and somebody else can type a prompt, they're going to go for the person who is the cheapest. And the results are going to be similar. They could hire artists to do it, but honestly, you know, for me, if I get hired to do something, and the only reason why I would use AI is if there was a severe time crunch. Otherwise, I would rather just do it this way in ZBrush, just kind of figure out a way to. What I'm doing here, I could probably do a different way as well. Maybe I will do it that way. It makes more sense. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to separate this out into separate pieces, and I'm Yeah, you should check out the videos. And also, if you love Macs, there's Nothing But MacBooks, and I'm in 3 of them, and they're really good too. All right, so here I'm going to go to a paintbrush, and I'm going to switch the colors here. I'm just going to solo this out, so I'm just working on it. And what I'm going to do here is just bring, just switch color, fill object, and then switch color again. I can turn polyframe off, I don't need that. And what I'm going to do here is just draw borders around where I want to separate this out. Again, I'm not really worried about the detail, I just want to break this into separate parts, because all in one part is kind of causing me to not know where the seams are and where things are breaking off. And here the lines are pretty thick, but that's okay. The reason why that's happening is because I am the whole robot is pretty big, and the hand itself is really small in ZBrush's 3D space. So and then this bottom part cannot just be one piece, so I need to think about how to break it up as well. How am I using the mask function? You mean how I'm getting those sharp edges on the mask? Do you mean like how I'm getting the mask to be sharp versus like the default, which is this? Oops. So you see here with the mask, like I have to, you know, see how blurry the edges are, and then here they're sharp. Is that what your question is, or what exactly? Let me go back to my mask. Right. Yeah, I'm not masking right now. I'm just painting. This is not masking. This is just poly paint. I'm just using a paintbrush. And again, this is one I bought on ArtStation, but I think it's just one that basically does what I described with the mask, which is just gives it kind of a rougher edge. And I don't really, again, I don't really care about, you know, I'm not really being very precious with this. I'm being actually really rough with it. Okay, so that's that piece, and then over here, it's going to be the thumb piece. Yeah, let me just cut this off this way. All right, so this is the bottom. And each one of these is going to be like its own thing in a little while. So I'm just separating it out. Okay. All right, so now let me see one more thing here. I think I'm going to do this as well. Get this inside part to be separate. All the black parts I kind of don't really care that much about. They're just borders, and then the rest is kind of how it is going to be. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, oops, I mean to do that here. What the hell? Okay. If I hit Control W, that will group these. So now, oops, you'll notice that I've got a separate group over here, right? And, oh man, let me go back. Turn this off. You know, one thing you need to make sure, and I just did that here, is you need to make sure that wherever, you know, it's closed up. Like there's no loose borders. And I'll show you why that is in a minute. All right. So what I want to do to separate this, the first thing I'm going to do is hit Control W in a minute here. And the reason why I'm doing this via paint and not masking is because I can just hold Alt down and paint the other color, so I can easily switch between black and white. Okay, and I've got this button here. It's in the UI right over here, which is part of Ryan's tools, and it just basically changes this to black and white, which is really neat. All right, let's let this autosave. All right, so now that I've got that going, I'm going to hit Control W, which basically is going to, you know, polygroup whatever was masked to this. And I don't know if I like this color. I'm going to regroup visible. Let's find a color scheme that looks better. Okay, I guess this is, yeah, this is good. Okay, so then you just basically go to ZModeler, and then you can do a fill by polygroup. So you can go polygroup and fill. And what that will do is it will fill, it should do it. I guess we need to actually bring up line here so we can see them. And let's turn off insert edge loop. We don't want to do that. And let's turn off whatever the point is. But for the polygroup and fill, okay, why is it doing the whole thing? That's weird. It should just do it to the border, but it's doing the whole model. That is very strange. Did I do Control? Oh. So, I forgot a step. The step is to go to polygroup and group by from polypaint. Here we go. Okay. Now this does it, but it's created. Here we go. This did it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here, so basically it's in different groups. The next thing I'm going to do is go to deformation and say polish by groups. And that gives me a little bit more polish. I mean, it's still wonky, but it's good. And now I can do the thing I want it to do, which is basically go in and click on each one of these. And by pressing the Alt key and just having them be different polygroups. Now there's a way you can do this as well with a plugin called Polygroup It. But, you know, sometimes I like doing it this way. Again, the lines are a little bit too thick, but I'm not minding that because, again, there's a lot of other work that's going to be done after the fact. I just want to make sure that these are different polygroups. I don't really need this inside back part, do I? No, I don't. Okay, this one. Right. This one I'm just going to leave it whatever it is, and this one as well. All right, right, so now I've got them this way, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this thing. So I have a copy of it. And then I'm going to put it in a folder. Okay, and then now that it's in a folder, I'll just go to split and say split PG or split by polygroups, group split. Okay, and now I just have a bunch of different parts. Turn solo off, and I just have all these different parts. I can hide the initial one, and you can see here that I have all these different parts now. Somehow the old one is still showing up. Why? Why are you showing up, older one? Do I have another? Oh, it's showing up. Yeah, it's showing up because the border is a, like there's this one here, which is just kind of some stray polygroups. I'm just going to delete that one. And there's this one, which is basically in here. If I turn double on, this will make more sense. So this is kind of the outline, and I don't need this one either, so I'm going to delete it as well. And so now, why is this in here? Oh, did it put a bunch of things in the folder? What is going on? Okay, I think this finger kind of got in there by accident. Let's just move it out. Okay, and so now if I unsolo it, you can see that I just have these parts. And again, I'm not really worried about how these parts are going to work. I'll just pick this one, for example. And you can see here the edges are really, really rough. So I'm just going to solo that out. And I want to get these edges not to be as rough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to ZRemesher. And let's ZRemesh this. Let's see if that solves it. Nope. Still rough. Okay, then the other trick is to go to dynamic subdiv and add some thickness to it. Okay, and don't mind all these yellow dots. I don't know why they're there. I think there's a way to turn them off. I think this is it. Oh no, this makes it even worse. Okay. Okay, no problem. All right, so that's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and accept this, apply. And what that's going to do is it's just going to add the inside part here. But the inside part is a different polygroup. This is a different polygroup, and the outside part is a different polygroup. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do a ZRemesher and keep the groups. And smooth groups is all the way up to 1. So let's do that. Let's see what we get. Okay, and this is going to take a couple of seconds. You can see the progress up here. Okay, so that's a little bit better, right? It's not exactly what we want just yet, but look at how cool this is going to be. So here, I'm just going to do this one more time, just for kicks. And I know I should be doing this by doing the retry, but that's okay. And now if I just hit this with smooth, it will smooth those edges out. And again, there's panel loops. There's different ways of doing what I'm doing. I just I want to do it this way. All right, so now this looks a little bit more kind of smoother on the edges, and I can get rid of the other. Oops. Delete hidden. And now I have this nice piece, and I can just ZRemesh it one more time. And I get this nice clean topology for that part in the back. And it's got some of the features that I sculpted in, but it's not detailed. All right, is there a free brush for mechanical stuff like drawing panel lines? There's quite a few. Actually, you can always use the DAM standard, And that's usually what I tend to use most of the time. Why is this not locking on? Okay, here we go. Damien Standard gives you good scribe lines, but there's also the chisel brush that's in here. That's really good. Oops. Chisel 3D. I think it's this one. No, creature. Chisel. This one. This brush, chisel brush, comes with ZBrush, and it's a really, really good one to do like mechanical cut lines. So you can, here, I'll just turn polyframe off. Let me give this thing a couple of subdivision levels. And you can do some really nice clean lines like this. And there's different profiles. You can choose this one. Do this. And of course, you can use it negative and positive, right? So you can get some really clean lines. And I think chisel brush is one of my favorites. I used to use one called MAH. Which I don't even know if it's available anymore, but that was a really good one. But yeah, I mean, if you look at my brushes here, I have those, so Dame Standard is the one I use the most. Orb Cracks is really good for that as well. Orb Cracks, this one. And I think it's free as well. Right, and this kind of creates a nice little kind of indentation. So yeah, I kind of tend to use a lot of these. The Geo brush is good as well. It's good for organic as well as hard surface. If you hold shift down and let go, it creates a nice kind of crease line like that. What button did I use to assign color? Oh, so the way that works is so I'm using ZModeler, right? And I'm going to, let me just go down in subdivision levels here. Delete the higher subdivision levels just real quick. Okay, so I've got this, right? It's this polygroup. So what you could do is you could use the fill. So go to polygroup, polygon actions, polygroup, fill. And then when you click, it does a color, right? It's doing the same one. But if you tap on Alt, you can continue to change them to a different polygroup, right? So you can continue to choose a different polygroup just by hitting the Alt key. Hope that answers that question. Yeah, all right. So now I've got this nice topology for this, and it's looking good. And I'm going to go back to dynamic and add some thickness to this. And offset it in. More thickness. Take a look and see what's going on here. Whoa. Yeah, if you need to make sure that your thickness is just kind of not too much. So I want a panel kind of like that. There we go. And again, the thickness is dynamic, so it's not implied. It's not applied yet. So I can continue to play with this to get it to be the way I want it to be before I actually commit to creating the paneling or the thickness for it. Okay, so this is kind of going to be here. All right, so you see what I did there is I just basically created this kind of cut here, but the topology isn't really working with it right here, right? So again, a trick that I just learned from Henry's thing the other day is you can turn polygroup on with the clip curve, and that basically just sets a different polygroup here like that. And it looks similar, but it's different here. I'll do it one more time just to get a better color, so you guys can see. All right, so that, it's just giving me that same green one. All right, here we go. This is better. So now you can see that I got a different polygroup. Oh, this isn't really going to work because I don't have the thickness done. But basically, this gives you a different polygroup right here. And then you can just do a polish by groups, and that will basically make this smoother. So let's do that. deformation, polish by groups. And you can see that gives you a nice clean line. Then I can just ZRemesh it again with keep groups, and I get this nice polygrouping there, and then I can just regroup it to one group. But I get the kind of the flow lines I want. It's just amazing how much more work this is to do in like Maya or Blender or anything like that in ZBrush. I mean, a lot of these are such faster ways of getting good topology and getting shapes that you want while you are concepting. A lot of workflows with Maya and whatnot usually are very restrictive. I'm getting back to what I had before I did that trick because I don't really need that yet. A lot of the the kind of the operations are a lot more restrictive, so a lot of the work gets done before it gets to the modeler, and the modeler just has to do an implementation, and it just makes their work a lot more uncreative. And then if they change their mind, for example, on something, it's going to have to go through the entire workflow again. It's a nightmare. So with ZBrush, you don't have to do that. You can just concept as you go and topologize as you go. And if they want to make changes, those changes are not that hard to implement. There's been a kind of a meltdown of the entire visual effects industry and the movie industry in LA. And it's a horrible thing. There's a lot of great artists that are out of work. And partially it's because of a lot of factors. Like, the streaming business is kind of, trying to figure itself out. There was the writer's strike that took a long time. And I think, things are changing. But if you want to, look at the positive aspects of this, it is that maybe, whenever it gets back to working again, that that they'll start using newer techniques. I mean, a lot of it is probably going to be AI based, but I think AI is still very far away from doing certain things. I mean, the promise of everything is there, it'll make your bed, it'll wash your dishes, it'll do all these things for you, or people are promising the sun and the moon with AI, but whether it will deliver or it can deliver is up in the air still. And if it does, then that's one thing, but if it doesn't, then I don't think people are going to go to the old ways of doing things. So this is looking a little bit better. All right, this part right here is a bit of an ugly mess, and I don't like it at all. So let's go ahead and ZRemesh this at half. And I'm probably going to rethink it because I don't really care for the design. Let's ZRemesh it again at half. One more time. So yeah, I mean here, I'm not just using ZBrush. I'm also, I know how topology works and everything like that. I know how design language works. I know how a lot of these factors work. So it's not, people think, oh, if I learn the software, then I'm going to be good. And you're not. Software is just one small part of it. There's so much more as well. So it's not for the faint of heart. You really will have to want to do this because it's a lot of work. Okay, so I've got an issue here. You can see this kind of thing, and it's easily fixable. Like I can just go ZModeler and do a stitch. That does it. But sometimes I, just to kind of get a good border around this, I usually just do a extrude. It still thinks I want to polygroup. Okay, I do an extrude, but I do an extrude, and then you can hit the Alt key to cycle through the extrude options. And here I'm just going to extrude the mesh border. That gives me a little bit of a cleaner edge. But the thing that, the thing I did earlier probably works a lot better. So I'm just going to go dynamic, no smoothing, but give it some thickness here. And go ahead and apply that. And then I'm going to do a smooth or polish by groups. I can hit that pretty hard, it doesn't matter, and that gives me a cleaner edge. And I'm going to zero mesh this at half again. Did it keep the groups? It didn't. Let's keep the groups. And do a polish by groups as well. So this gives me kind of a starting point. I'll just do that, delete the hidden parts. So now I've got kind of something a little bit better to work on. And then I got to figure out how to do this. And I'm contemplating whether I just want to do this one, different pieces, or if I just want to do it as one kind of block like I have it now. And I've got, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it in different pieces. So these two are very similar, so I could probably do these by themselves. Let's do that. So here is another trick where I just want to pull out a certain shape from this, right? So I've got this shape right here. And I want to pull a shape that looks like this. I have a plugin, not a plugin, but it's a plugin part. It's Extract Pro Plus, which I bought on ArtStation. I think there's a free version of this as well, which does most of what you need, but I wanted to support the guy or gal, and so I bought this version. So that basically just creates this as a separate part now, and if I go off solo, then I've got this as a separate part. So now I can explore that other idea that I had, which is, do I make this into its own separate thing? And here I'm just going to use clip curve. I don't really need the polygroup anymore. I'm just going to use clip curve just to get kind of this to be along the shape that I want it to be. I don't know why it didn't take. Let's do this one more time. Is polygroup still on? No, why is it? Oh, because the thickness. All right, let's turn. Okay, so this still has dynamic subdiv on. Okay, does it? Okay, no. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get this into the shape that I want. And I think the problem is it depends. It depends on the time. It depends on what I'm doing. It depends on kind of where my head is at. There's different ways. Again, there's a lot of different ways to get to the same result. And as I mentioned earlier, different artists on ZBrush Live do these things a little bit differently. Right now, I'm just kind of exploring this way of doing it. Another way is if you watch, there are other artists that do this completely differently as well. But I think the challenge that I'm having is that I kind of, these are all wedging in, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. Because it's kind of, it's not as interesting that way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hide this for now. And by the way, it's always a good idea to do garbage collection as you do these things. So, and what I mean by that is like that part that I had, if I don't need it, just to go in and clean it up. So I don't do this on the stream, but afterwards I go and rename everything. I mean, not every time, but I rename everything, and also delete things that are duplicates or things that I don't need. Usually my practice is that I create a folder called builders, and I don't know if I have one here. It could be called anything really, junk builders, whatever. And then I put all the stuff I don't need in here, And then if the model gets too heavy, then I just separate that out into a separate tool and save it. So it's not taking up memory, but just in case I need something, it's there. Especially in production, you never know when you have to go back and fix something that you worked on a while back. So it's always good to have the backups. Okay, so this is looking a little bit better. I wonder if I can get away with having this be the same size. That looks good. So now I'm just going to see if I can duplicate that. I think I like that idea of just having these kind of be separate pieces like this. Because if you really look at the skeleton, human skeleton, these parts are all separated out. Now the kind of the overlap is the trick. Okay, I think I like that, these two just being their own thing like this. And here I'm just still designing, right? I'm not making something that I have a picture of. I'm still doing, exploring per se, and trying to figure out what would work best. I'm just going to go to these pieces and put double on so I can see the inside of what I'm working on as well as the outside. Okay, there's one more. Okay, so you kind of see the border of what I'm working on, and I can see the inside parts as well. All right. The other thing is, I think that there's a lot of people that just want to learn this because they want to get work doing it. And I mean, like every time I stream, everybody's usually asking me like, how long does it take to do this? And, like they're asking very work related things like, oh, I'd like to do this, but I don't think I can make money with it. And, or like, how do I make money with it? And what's the, like they're always thinking of the business aspect of it. And I'm not the right person to ask questions in those directions because I don't really think of it as a business. I think of it as a process. I think of quality of what I'm doing is more important than like how long it takes or, nobody measures the Mona Lisa by how long it took to paint it. You know what I mean? Or the Sistine Chapel or the Michelangelo's David. Nobody judges those works based on how long it took to make them. So I think looking at things in that way would definitely mess me up. So I don't really think about it that way. I usually ask companies like, what is your deadline? And I don't mean the deadline for it to be done. I mean like the absolute deadline of when they actually need the final version to be ready. And then I basically figure out the approach as well as, figure out like how many iterations there are going to be and all that. Because some directors or some people you work with, some art directors and whatnot, they know what they want and some don't. Most of them don't actually. So they're going to want to change things a lot. And the more fluid you are, the better. And the faster you can iterate, the better too. So, all right, I think I'm liking these two kind of things. They're not perfect again, but that's fine. And then let's pick this one. And what I'm going to do here is just mask this part. I don't really need these anymore. So I'm just going to mask them, group them, and delete that group. All Right, so now I've got something like this, which I'm still also not happy with. All right, so this happens a lot when I work. Like I'm basically, you know, doom spiraling into not getting what I want. And if you're doing that a lot, you know, instead of getting more frustrated and working on it, it's best to just move on to something else. That's what I'm going to do now, and then maybe come back to this later, either today or some other time. All right, so let's kind of bring out the rest of this model. All right, so here's the head. And you can see that the hand is a very small part. But the reason why I'm spending a lot of time on the hand is because I basically want to create a nice mechanical hand that I can use over and over again. So that's why I'm going to spend a little bit of time and make these hands more perfect. So here's the kind of the rest of the model, and we'll see if I want to work on some other parts. And you'll see that if you're working on another part, and you know, your frustrations with the working on the hand will go away. And the hand is not looking too bad if I'm looking at it from, you know, this kind of vantage point. But again, I was just kind of getting really frustrated. So now it's time to move on to another part. Okay, so with this, I don't think I've spent too much time on the legs. I mean, you can see here that they're very low poly. So what I want to do here is determine, okay, so this, and this are all going to be one piece. And maybe not this one, but just these ones. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and group these together. All right, so this is where they are. And I don't mean group them together, I just mean merge them together. So there's that, that, and that. Let's make sure they're the ones that we want. 2, 3. Are there 2 of these? It won't matter soon anyway. Then there's this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just go to this one and merge down. Is okay. So now those are 2 together. And then one more time. Okay, I'm just going to turn solo on so I can see what I'm doing. And then do I want this one as well? Yes, I do. Okay, so this is all going to be one piece. Okay, let me just turn solo off now. All this is going to be one piece. So I'm going to solo this out. And you can see here there's some intersections and kind of unpleasantries happening. And again, it's very low poly, so if I if I try to smooth it, it's going to kind of not be too happy with me. But again, I don't really care about this geometry. All I want is this shape. So I'm going to go ahead and Dynamesh this thing. And I'm going to give it like a resolution maybe 1000 or so. And there it is. So now it's just all one piece, more or less. And then I'm just going to slice this thing up, you know, just to kind of get it to be flush. Again, this is all Dynamesh, so I don't really care about topology. I want things to be coplanar, so I use H-polish to make them coplanar. And again, I think maybe it's a good idea for me to turn on the rest of the thing to make sure I'm not working in areas that don't matter. Yeah, I mean, finding work doing this, honestly, it's like you know, I mean, there's, you know, different types of work for this. If you know, let me put it to you this way. If you need to work and you think this is a good way to make money and that's why you want to do it, I don't know if it's going to work out. And I know a lot of people that basically have that perspective. But if this is what you want to do and you don't care if you're going to make money or not, you're going to find work or not, and you will continue to do this whether there is work or not, whether AI is doing all the work and you're out of work and you can't get work doing this. If you will still do it, if you still want to do it, then it's a different story. But if you think that this is going to give you a great living and it's a great career, it's a great thing to do, you know, I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, being a plumber probably will give you a much easier, better life than doing this. But for me, I have a calling where I don't have a choice. This is kind of me. So whether I get work or don't get work or whatever doing this, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's why I do this stream, is because, you know, even if I have a job that has nothing to do with this, and sometimes you know, I have a VFX job that has nothing to do with ZBrush, I still want to be able to do this. And so one day a week, Friday night, I know that I'm going to have to do it. So, but yeah, I don't think, you know, I mean, if it's not something, especially now, it's like, it's really tough. There's jobs are there's a lot of people that got laid off. So there's a lot of people that know how to do it that can't find work. So if it's going to be hard to compete and be able to get work while that's going on. And again, this whole thing can change. Like, you know, I mean, somebody could come up with an AI tool tomorrow that you can type a prompt and say, make me a calf that looks good, a robotic calf that looks good, and it'll do it for you. And, you know, you wouldn't need to do any of this stuff. Me personally, I probably will still do it, but you know, a studio can hire anybody that can type a prompt in and have them do the work. I think this is happening because did I delete hidden? Okay, so why is it just, oh, because I got symmetry on, that's why. So yeah, and it's kind of sad because when I teach in schools, in colleges, and I talk to my students, you know, I go like, hey, you know, why are you here? They're like, so we can get a good job. And it's just like, you know, there's more to life than job and work. Right, so you can see here the Dynamesh has a hole in it, but if I re-Dynamesh, it fixes it. And let's just go ahead and refill this with this color. All right, so now I've got kind of the basics of the calf here, and I need to determine yeah, this area over here needs a little bit of work. So here I'm basically just doing rough sculpture, and you know, this is something that a lot of car designers do, is especially if you look at Italian cars, they do sculpt them. All right, so this I'm getting away from the hard surfaceness of it, but that's okay because I'm just basically determining the volume and the look right now, and I can always retopo, or I'm just well, I mean, for ZBrush, you know, ZBrush is used in a lot of industries. So, you know, if we're going from a tool perspective, you know, like there's jewelers that use it. There are, you know, there's the collectibles market, which actually isn't doing that well either. It's going to be interesting to see how the collectibles market does at Comic-Con this year. So we'll know soon enough. And so there's that. There's collectibles. There's dentistry. Like there's dentists that use ZBrush. There is industrial design. There's a lot of different industries use ZBrush as a tool. I think on their website they list them. So I work freelance, and honestly, I would rather, especially in these days, I'd rather work full-time somewhere, just because, you know, before, when I was working freelance, I would have 3 or 4 opportunities at the same time knocking on my door, and I don't have that anymore. It's been really kind of dismal. That's why I kind of would rather get something more permanent for a while until things kind of get okay at some point. Or even if they don't get okay, like if I find some position somewhere which is permanent and it is on an interesting project, I'd love to get on that. But I applied for jobs in all sorts of different industries, just because, you know, I do need to put food on the table. So my restrictions have kind of subsided until things kind of change. All right, so at this point I'm going to store a morph target. Just, I guess there's one already. That's weird. Okay. All right, so this is going to be this part here. What project am I working on now? Actually, I'm not working on any projects right now. I'm still kind of looking for work. I've got, actually, that's not entirely true. I am working on a project that is more, and something I can't really talk about, but it's a project that's not kind of, it is ZBrush related, but it is not something that is kind of a project that I'm making a living on. It's just it's just something that I'm doing with some friends just to be doing something while I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm also making kit bash parts. I mean, you know, like when things kind of get rough like it is now, you have to be creative. So I created a couple of kit bash kits for ZBrush, which I'm selling, but yeah, I'm really, you know, like I said, it's been really dismal, and it's just not only for me, it's for a lot of different artists as well. I think a lot of companies aren't hiring just because they want to see if the existing people they have on staff can use AI to do the work. And a lot of the executives don't really understand if it can or not. They just want to put the pressure on so that if it can, they can become heroes and show the company that they're saving a lot of money doing it. But yeah, no, I'm kind of not employed at the moment. Doesn't mean I'm not busy. There's always stuff to do. And one of the things with freelance is you learn how to use your downtime really smartly, because, you know, when you're working, there's things you can't do. Like, you know, I can work on customizing my ZBrush user interface. I can work on making the kit bash kits so that next time I'm hired and I need to crank out a project, I'm a lot faster. So yeah. Yeah, it's you know, it's I think there's a really good YouTube video by Feng Zhu on the kind of the freelance industry, and he talks about how, you know, it waxes and wanes. Like sometimes, you know, there's a lot of work and there isn't enough artists, and sometimes there's a lot of artists and not enough work. I think another kind of another thing that people think also is that this is glamorous, you know, fun work, and it's not. It's just like any other job. When you're on a production and there are deadlines, you might as well be, you know, working at the back of a restaurant during rush hour, or, you know, coding when it's crunch time. I mean, it's really grueling work. Whenever I'm on projects, it's like, you know, by the time I'm done, it's just like a lot's gone on. All right, so this is looking a little bit better. I'm liking the shape of it. I'm looking at the silhouette over here, and the silhouette looks good. I think this is going to be okay. And I just need to now simplify it into something else. But I think I'm done working on that specific part. So now I want to go up the leg and work on this part over here. So now I'm getting into the thigh area. And I'm going to hide the leg part and the feet. Hide the calf too. All right, so I'm just going to see what's going on in this area to make my silhouette smaller. Yeah, so I mean, you know, the time here, that's interesting that you said that. Again, it's just me, you know, if it was me working on this, I would just be putting on some music and working on it. But that is something that I could easily not do, right? It's like going to the gym. I could easily like say, you know, I'm not going to do this. And it's easy not to do it. That's why I stream, so that it forces me to actually do it every week. So even if I have a job that is, let's say, using Maya or using Blender or some other tool, I know that at some point I'm going to spend a couple hours, at least a couple hours a week, doing ZBrush work. All right, I'm going to let this autosave. Also, it kind of depends on your age. Like, if you're younger, you might, you know, some of these things might not bug you as much, but yeah, it depends on your existing career choice or whatever. But to get from not knowing ZBrush, not knowing art, and not knowing topology, not knowing fundamentals, and all that, like if you don't know any of these things, it's going to take you years before you're ready. It's not like you'd be like, okay, I need a job, so I'm just going to do this. That's not going to work. You're probably going to have to do some other things and brush up your skills until you get good enough to do this. Oh man, okay. I just did something I didn't want to do, so I'm going to split to similar parts. Okay. I don't really need these two little pieces here, but I do need this one to connect to this one. All right, so I'm going to just merge down. And I'm going to pick this one. No, I don't need that one to be there with these guys. This one. Yeah, let's do that one as well. So here I'm just basically combining these pieces into one. And then once I have what I need, which is this, I'll just Dynamesh it. Let's just do one color for the whole thing. Okay, and again, it's just the piece. It kind of gives me an idea of what that piece is going to look like. This is not the final piece. And then I can just, you know, shape it to get the silhouette that I want with it. You have a solid sculpting like, you know, like traditional sculpting, like with clay. If you do have a good sculpting, clay sculpting background, that definitely does help, for sure. As a matter of fact, a lot of ZBrush artists basically start that way. They come from a sculpting background. I don't. I mean, I've never really. I'm using the wrong brush here. Yeah, that's great. I think you'll do well. I mean, you probably should watch other artists that are traditional sculptors, and I mean, I do hard surface stuff here, so I'm not going to be the best person to watch for that kind of stuff. But let's see, who does that type of sculpting here? But yeah, I mean, they say that it's really helpful. I haven't found that to be true. I think, people say, oh, you need to know how to draw, and I don't think that's true either. But it does help. If you're a traditional sculptor, it does help. I don't think it's going to be deterrent. But yeah. But there's since ZBrush was more of a sculpting tool to start out with, there's a lot of tools here that are very much like there are a lot of tools that are very much like sculpting based. So for example, here I'm going to go to something called clay tubes, which is what I'm using, and that's like adding a tube of clay, right? So it basically simulates that. And then there's, and I don't know if I have this here, like the rake brush, right? So now I'm raking, right? So that's kind of a traditional sculpting thing, and you can just kind of use the rake to reduce. I'm totally messing up my thing here, but that's fine, right? So now I'm just basically doing like old traditional sculpting, and there's like where is it? Thick skin, and if you turn thick skin on, then when you're working, it kind of acts more like it's clay, right? And so things kind of tend to look a lot more clay-like. So if you are coming from traditional sculpting, there's a lot of, ZBrush traditionally has been a sculpting tool, a organic sculpting tool per se. So there's a lot of things that will help you in what you're doing, for sure. Right. Still trying to determine how I want these shapes to be. But yeah, if you've sculpted for 10 years, I mean, that gives you a really good starting point for sure. Personally, I really, I've never really had the opportunity to do that. I come from a computer science background, so I'm a computer science major and a math major, and decided to do this just because I like science fiction, and I like, I like designing stuff. I like concept design, so that kind of got me to do this instead of what I did before. Oh, my cat is gonna get in the way. She doesn't understand what's going on. It's so funny because, like, you just have your normal life, and then you set up these lights and the green screen background and this, that, and the other, and just completely changes your environment to something completely different for a while. And then and so pets are like, what is going on? Right, so here I'm kind of getting some curves and stuff, which I don't really want because this is a very boxy looking model. But again, all I care about is the volume of this thing. So let me bring up everything else just to kind of see how this is sitting with, let's say, the calf and the thigh and all that. Okay. All right, so not a lot of this is going to be seen, but whatever is seen, I want it to look good. I think yeah, I think, you know, some sculptors, the people that have done what you've done, approach things differently than, let's say, you know, like there's, like I said, there's different approaches to do all these things. So I'd be curious to know like how you approach it and how you kind of develop your skills with it. There used to be a free version of ZBrush called Sculptress, and there was ZBrush Core, whatever. There were versions before where you could try it out, and I think they've discontinued those because they're probably going to do new ones. Or for the iPad, if you have an iPad, yeah, that's a good point. If you have an iPad, you can get ZBrush for free on the iPad. There's a free version that is pretty good. I mean, you can get a lot done. You can get an idea of what it's like and see if you like it. But on the PC and Windows, there used to be a free version, but they've discontinued it. They don't have it anymore. You can probably find it somewhere if somebody has it, but they haven't really done anything with it for a while. Oh. Hang on a second. She's kind of being naughty. All right, I think, again, I'm working in an area where nobody's going to see it, so that's not going to matter. This knee part's going to be, here, let's move this out of the way. Yeah, so this is really not prescriptive. I mean, it's basically just me figuring out the way it's going to work. By the way, it'll help if I mirror this thing to the other side. All right, this is a big task that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm glad I did it, which is kind of these two pieces of the leg. And then this one, I probably want to put a big dent in it. See what that shaped it into. Actually, I don't really need this bottom part. Okay, I'm going to quick save because I'm going to use the knife curve brush, and that usually it could crash ZBrush, so I just want to make sure I have a save. So knife curve. Okay, no white, just worked on one side. Okay, here we go. All right, it worked. All right, let's Dynamesh again. Let's fill it with orange. All right. It's kind of really freeing to be able to do hard surface, but work on it like it's clay. But yeah, I think if somebody is a traditional sculptor, I think they'll do good with ZBrush. If they have the patience, of course. Yeah, if you do work with ZBrush, let me know. I'd be interested to see kind of what your work looks like, and if it will be always go to ZBrush Central. If you guys don't know about ZBrush Central, that's where a lot of the work is posted. I say that, and I'm horrible because I don't really put anything on there. I think my last post was from like ages ago, and I should actually go on there and post some of my stuff. I do post my stuff on Instagram. I should show you guys that too. So if you guys want to follow me or get a hold of me or kind of connect with me, the best way to do it is via Instagram. So here I'm working on some terrain stuff. This is my latest stuff that I did. This is a sword that I did. So I stream for Maxon every other Friday, and the Friday I don't stream for Maxon, I have my own YouTube channel. So if here, I'll go to it. So yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, it's just youtube.com/user/Kermaco. I stream there too. On there, I'm doing something more medieval. So I did a sword, I'm doing a dragon, a sword, and a dragon rider. So that's going to be a whole other project. So if you guys want to watch me, I'm on Twitch, and I do it on Twitch. And I don't know if I should just do it on Twitch or YouTube. I haven't decided yet. But I basically do this stream on here. And it's more organic right now, but it might be something else. And on my stream, I use tools other than ZBrush as well. I've got a whole bunch of other things that I use. So this would be kind of ZBrush heavy, but also other tools. But the one that I'm doing right now on the Maxon channel, these are all specifically ZBrush. And here, I mean, if you look at all the streamers, you can see like this guy, Shane does stylized stuff. Eric does insects, and you can see that there's this person, for example, he's doing kind of something more sculptural. Who's this? Mike and Bradley, they do more sculpture stuff. Patrick does food, really cool stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different artists doing a lot of different things on here. So find one that's kind of more along the lines of the things you want to do, and you can do it there. But yeah, on my Instagram, follow me on Instagram so you can get a hold of me that way. And also, I've got my link tree here, which basically links to everything that I do. So my portfolio, my Gnomon Workshop, my Gumroad, Instagram, ArtStation, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, all of those are here. So definitely follow me on Instagram. This is where I post all of my stuff. This was done in ZBrush. This is done in ZBrush, rendered in Cinema 4D. These are my kits that I've been working on while I'm waiting for projects to kick back up. So yeah, you can see that I have a lot of work here, different types of stuff, and that's the best way to kind of get a hold of me or let me know what you're working on, etc. That's the way to do it. All right, back to here. I really feel like I didn't really do much today. I feel horrible, but I did. I know I did. And a lot of times when you are not producing stuff, you feel bad about it, but that all plays a part, right? So, it's all part of the process. You can't be like, it's like a music album. Not every single song is a hit, right? So you just have to allow yourself to. And here I'm going to delete by symmetry. So I just have one side here, so I can use the clip brushes and just kind of carve this up into some sort of shape that I want. I added some volume, and now I kind of want to get back to it being geometric. Turn symmetry off. I'm trying to find a good kind of something that will read well. Right now it's kind of messy. Let me hide the arms and the shield for now so I can get a better look of the profile. And again, this is something that I'm doing on the stream for my own personal reasons. Sorry, I got a text there. I totally forgot what I was going to say. So you can see here now I'm getting kind of the shape that I want. So yeah, it's always good to allow yourself, you know, if you feel like you haven't really done much, that's fine. It's not like you're gonna make a hit every single every time you sit down to record a musical piece. So, but overall, if you stick with it, like this is the 12th week, I think, or the 12th time we're doing this. So that means 12 times. This is like multiply that by 2, so it's 24 hours. So it's not really that much. By the time we get towards the end of this, I think it's going to look really, really cool. Oh, too much. Too thick there. All right, let's see. 6 to 8 hours a day for the last week. Oh, that's not bad. Again, I just want to say you can't brute force it, right? It's not like, you know, it's not like one of those things like I'm going to, you know, like if there's a thing that says make this in ZBrush in a week, you know, then that person's kind of giving you false advice. Like if you're not ready to put years into it, then you're, you know, you might as well not even start, I guess. Okay, so I'm kind of liking the way that this is looking. All right, that's good. Let's do it on the other side. Mirror and weld. Okay. This piece. Ooh, that would be a nice piece to merge down into this. All right, let's see. We've got this, and where is the one we just clicked on? It's in the calf. That's weird. How did this get there? All right, inside the calf. Okay. All right, good. Just 1 second. Yeah, I mean, that's a good perspective to have. I think you're on the right track. All right. Man, we're getting towards the end here. I'm just going to do a merge down. And trying to mesh all these guys together. Fill object. Thing is, I've worked on real robots. I've worked on commercials for Toyota, where I actually worked on their robot quite a bit. So I kind of know how these things are. Man, iron weld. I kind of know what, you know, like what parts can be separate and what kind of parts can be together. So it does help to have some sort of practical experience. If you're doing like a body or whatever, it's good to know anatomy really well. And if you're doing a robot, it's good to know how robots work. And what cracks me up is that a lot of the robots they have now look so horrible and uncanny. I wonder, once the technology becomes a thing, like if there will be any efforts to make them less, what the word is I'm looking for. But make them less nerdy looking, I guess. I mean, if I look at the Optimus robot from Tesla, or if I look at a lot of these Chinese robots or whatever, they're so horrible. I mean, like, hire a designer, hire me. I'll make your robots look amazing. But that's the last thing they think about. The thing they think about is more along the lines of functionality right now. And I think once they get the functionality done, then it becomes, you know, more competitive in how these look. And I think if that happens, I'll probably get work, you know, like incessant, or somebody will hire me just to do this, to get their robots to look better. Not just me. There's a lot of great robot artists that do it for games or whatnot, and I wonder if it would be good for them to actually hire these people to do their robots. Who knows? All right, getting a little bit of intersection here. All right, mirror and mold that. Is this divided? What the hell? Here we go. All right, let's bring that calf back. All right, this is starting to look exactly like I wanted it to. But yeah, it'll be fun to, like, you know, design an actual robot. You know, get the the skeleton, the inside part, and then just build the kind of the outside of it. You know, be working closely with the design team. I think that would be a dream job for me. Because honestly, I really am not very happy with some of the designs of all these robots that they're putting out. Okay. House robot that looks like a mech warrior. What kind of house do you have? All right. All right. So I think, you know, we're getting kind of close to the end here. And what I usually like to do before I end is do at least like some sort of a render. It's a kind of a good practice just to, at the end of the day, to have something that you can, you know, show for the work that you did. And so what I'm going to do here is just bring up all the different pieces and do a render, and we'll call it a night. Hey, thanks guys. Today was a good group of people, and it was a fun conversation. Even though some of the people, I mean, I think my Mayor KF, or whatever your name is pronounced. Sorry, I'm kind of, you know, I need an AI to help me pronounce names on here. So, all right, so this is kind of the guy, and I think I have a whole scene. Looks like he's wearing slippers. I need to work on the feet next time. So next time it's going to be the feet. Yeah, definitely be back. And also, all these are recorded, so you can watch them after the fact too. Of course, it's a lot more fun to watch them, you know, while I'm doing it. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of things here. First off, I'm going to double my document size. So double that, yes. And draw it out. Right, and I'm going to do an AA half. Okay, so that makes it a lot cleaner. I kind of don't have the one hand, so I'm just going to do it, take the thing from this angle. Also, what is this thing right here? Didn't want to do that. All right, that's fine. Okay, we'll just do this, and then, yeah, he totally looks like he's wearing slippers. All right, and I think I've got a thing here that says it's the scene. Where are you? Let's just, I got the right hand here. I'll bring it up. It's not done, but it's not even the same, but it works. Okay, props. Okay, so there's the robot and the guy, and we'll just kind of get an angle. I'll get better props in here next time. I'll get a better looking person, like maybe a soldier or something. All right, and then let's see what just a normal BPR will do. All right, that's not bad. And then let's pick a different material here. Do I have the tin material? I do. Here we go. So I'm just going to do kind of a toonish render. All right, that looks good. I think the ambient occlusion is a little bit too much. Let me see if this looks any better. Nope, worse. Okay, so I don't know why I thought it would look better. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, there's the other thing too. Like even with sculpting, like there's rendering, there's just so much to know. It's definitely a big rabbit hole to go into. All right, so render properties. Okay, so any occlusion is not on. Why is it showing up? Or is that just shadows? All right, let's just do flat shadow. Maybe that'll do it. Oh, that's even worse. All right, I'm going to change the light angle. Maybe that'll help a bit. There we go. That's okay. There's another material that I made the other day that I'm going to go and bring up. See if that makes it better. I've got two tintin materials. Let's see if this one is better. Yep, a little bit better. Okay, so I guess this would be a good time to kind of call it a night. So thanks everybody for sticking with it and watching this live. Again, remember to like and subscribe and do all the good internet citizen things. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks where we can work more on this. I might do a little bit of kind of cleaning up, renaming, and doing all that stuff next time. So, I have a better place to start. But I think next time I'm going to do the feet and maybe attack the hands again. I might attack the hands if I have a few free minutes. But yeah, okay. Well, thanks.